Hello English learners and welcome back to the English with Michael YouTube channel. I've got a good video today. I've got an interesting video lined up all about commonly confused words in English, even by native speakers. So I thought about some words that even native speakers get confused with, and then we're going to look at some that learners get confused with as well, and some pronunciation ones too. There's a lot of words here. I'm going to introduce the words that I think are the most confusing and you guys have said are confusing. And then I'm going to do my best to think of some ways to help you remember them as well. Okay, so first of all, I want to go over some words that everyone gets confused with, including native speakers. So the first one is accept and accept. Now, the first one is pronounced, it can be pronounced in different ways. Generally, people will pronounce it accept, or accept this. Sometimes people do pronounce it the same as the other word, just because, out of laziness. So it's very, very similar. But this is a preposition, and another similar word is kind of like not including something. Everyone is going to the party except me, not me. The other one is a verb, and we pronounce it accept. It's the schwa, accept. And in this one, it's a verb that just means to agree to receive something. I accepted the award. I agreed to receive the award. A really good way for remembering the differences between these words is to create a mnemonic. So a mnemonic is some kind of like story or interesting way that you use in your mind to help you remember. So the one I came up with for this one was accept is spelled EX. It starts with EX. So I thought of a sentence, everyone is welcome at my party except for my exes. Ex meaning like ex-girlfriend or boyfriend. So everyone's welcome except for the exes. So except exes, right? Remember that, except exes, and you'll remember EX, that spelling means not included. Hopefully that makes sense. If you think of a better one, let me know. Okay, the next pair is the word breath and breathe. The first one is a noun and it doesn't have an E. This is my breath. Take a deep breath. The second one is a verb, to breathe, and it's a longer sound and it has an E at the end. And now, this is often confused, especially in writing. People often get this wrong in writing, native speakers too. I breathe using my breath, right? I would say if you learn the rule that the E at the end often changes the sound of the verb. So for example, mat, if you put an E at the end of mat, it becomes mate. So notice how the final E changes the first A, the first vowel sound. And this is a really common one, like lack, lake, mat, mate, pat, pate. I don't know if pate is a word, but if it was, that would be the rule it would take. So if you learn that rule, this should become easier. Breathe and breath, okay? The next one is compliment. Now these two words are pronounced exactly the same. They're almost spelt the same too, except you'll notice there's an E in this one and an I in this one. I'll put them on the screen here if I remember to do that. So the most common one is the one with the I. They're both verbs, but with the I, that means you're complimenting someone. So in other words, you are saying someone looks good, you're saying someone's good at something, you're praising someone, in other words. So I saw my friend and said, wow, you look fantastic, you look so good today. I was complimenting my friend. The other one is a little bit different with the E, and it means things go well together. So we often might say, this wine complements the cheese. They go well together. That dress really complements your eyes. So we're not saying the dress is talking about your eyes in a good way. We're saying it goes well with your eyes. They match together well. And the mnemonic I came up with for this one is compliment as the first meaning has an I. Also, another homophone for your eye. So you can think of the phrase, I want to compliment your eyes. I want to say good things about your eyes. So you compliment my eye because there's an I in compliment. If you cannot compliment someone's eyes, that probably means it's the other spelling with E. Did I do a good job explaining that? I hope so, but let me know if you have a better one. Okay, the next pair is very difficult, even for me, for everyone, I would say. And this is to lie and to lay. To lie and to lay. So they kind of mean the same thing, but basically in present tense, to lie is something that you do, right? You lie down on the bed. You lie on the bed. If you lay something, it's you put something, so you make something else go on the bed, maybe. So I lie down on the bed, or I will lay my phone on the table, right? I'll put it down like it's sleeping. So the chicken lies down, then the chicken lays an egg, as another example. I think the reason this is so confusing is because in past tense, lie becomes lay. So that's very difficult. So lie on the bed, lay on the bed. So I lay on the bed. That means past tense, lie, right? I lay my phone today on the table. I lay on the bed yesterday. Very confusing. I'll put a little table at the bottom here, and hopefully this will explain the differences. It kind of shows you present, the past, and the past participle. So hopefully that makes it a bit easier. But yeah, good luck with that one. That's all I can say. One that I see all the time is confusion between though and through. Through. So they sound quite different, but they're spelt in quite a similar way. In fact, it's only the R. That's the only difference between them. Though is a conjunction, and it's similar to but in some cases, like I went home though I wasn't tired. I went home but I wasn't tired. The other one is through, and that usually means going inside something, like I walked through the tunnel, I went through the maze. You know, something is around you and you're going inside, okay? So I will walk you through this lesson. So it's kind of like I'm showing you the way through this lesson, like it's a maze, kind of like we're surrounded by the lesson. So they're a bit confusing, but they're kind of used in different ways. So remember, though is a conjunction, through is a preposition. Even though I was hungry, we never say even through, or rarely. We're almost never going to say that. So just remember, when it's a conjunction, when you want to say but, don't use the R. Or this one I see all the time. People get this wrong. And there was even a sign in my old town where someone used the wrong word on the sign. And I thought it was really funny because my learners knew what was wrong, but the native speaker didn't know what was wrong. So this is the common one. And this is the difference between allowed and allowed. See, pronounced the same, spelt quite differently though. So the first one comes from the verb to allow. If you allow something, that means you let something happen. I'm going to allow you to, stay up late tonight. You don't have to sleep early, maybe. So that person is allowed to stay up late. They are allowed to do so. The second one, allowed, this is an adverb, and it talks about things that are done out loud. So this is the best way to remember, is it's got the spelling of the word loud, like loud noise, right? So you could say he spoke it aloud. He read the book aloud. It's another way of saying out loud. He read out loud, he spoke aloud. So this one means not silently. You do something out loud with your voice. Just remember, when you're talking about permission, what someone can or cannot do, we use the LLOW spelling, allow. So what will you allow your children to do, for example? I've got a really important rule on the next one, and this is the difference between every day and every day. It's the same words, but the second one, there is no space between them. So usually we're going to say them as separate words, like every day I go to school. So we're not saying this day or tomorrow or yesterday, we're saying every day. when we use it in this way, there's always a space between them. But when we use it as an adjective, the space disappears. Usually, there's going to be a noun after it. So my everyday habit, my everyday clothes, right? When it's like my clothes, every day is an adjective and it doesn't have a space. So this is a really good rule to remember, is generally when things become adjectives, we remove the spaces or we use hyphens instead. Another point of confusion is I am 12 years old or I am a 12-year-old boy. So notice there's no spaces in the second one. There's also no S because adjectives do not have spaces and they cannot be made plural. 12-year-old boy, everyday clothes. Yeah, so there's a rule, not exactly a mnemonic, but it might help you remember once you learn that important rule. Okay, I've got two more words from learners, from you guys. One of them is say versus tell. So to be honest, native speakers don't really have a problem with this one, unlike the previous ones, but I see a lot of learners getting confused with this. So to say just kind of means to speak. It's the same, it's really words come out of your mouth to say something. Tell is more like you're communicating, you're giving information to someone. It could be an order as well. So tell him to be quick. Tell him to do this. It's an order. It doesn't have to be, but I told him the answer to the exam. I'm communicating information. Say is just simple talking. I said something, maybe even to myself, right? And one difference here though is we always say, I said to someone, I told someone. So with say, we need to put to before the object. With tell, we don't. So say to him, tell him. That's the rule I wanted to talk about here. The other one that learners get confused with is lend versus borrow. Here they're completely different words, but the meaning is a bit similar. So basically, lend is when you give something that you expect back in the future. Borrow is when you receive something that you have to give back in the future. Okay, the final two today are ones of pronunciation. The first one is the difference between walk and work. Walk and work. So when you are walking, to walk, we don't often pronounce the L very strongly. That's what makes it so hard. It's walk, walk. I'm not really making the typical L sound, am I? Working, like your job, is that long schwa sound. So you're not really making anything special, no shapes, nothing really. It's just a sound, just almost like you're throwing up, like, everything's coming out. So work, work. It's a very lazy sound. A little bit harder is the other one, walk, walk. And in that one, your tongue does come up at the back a little bit, walk. But have a practice yourself. It's hard to explain. I'm not the best at pronunciation stuff. But work and walk. See how you do. How was it for you? The final one is the difference between can and cannot. Except usually we would say can't. So this is the positive and the negative can. The first one we usually pronounce can. The second one we often pronounce with like a r, almost like you see a really cute kitten, like oh, can't. It's a bit longer. Can, can't. I think the reason this is difficult is because we often don't say the T. The T gets dropped, replaced for that glottal stop. I can do it, I can't do it. I can't do it. So in that one, you only can notice that difference in the A, the A and the R. What's really confusing is in some dialects of English, including mine mostly, there's no difference. We say the same vowel for positive or negative. So positive, I would say I can do it. Negative, I would say I can't do it. So I said the same vowel, which is a. The only difference is in the second one, there was a glottal stop. So this is when you kind of can push the air out from the back of your mouth. And I wonder if you can hear it here. So can, can't. Can, can't. it's incredibly similar. I'm not sure if I did a good job of showing that, but my advice, if you do get confused, is just pay attention to the intonation and the tone. So if I say with no, there might be some nodding and some shaking of the head, even if there isn't any, I can do it. I can't do it. So you might have heard the first time was positive. I went a little bit up. I can do it. The second time, I can't do it. I can't do it. A little bit lower, right? So you can tell kind of what they mean based on their intonation. Even if you don't know, don't worry, because I always mishear people as well. And I have to just say, sorry, did you say can or can't? Like can or cannot? That's totally fine. I say that all the time. But okay, this video might have been longer than I expected, but I hope it was useful. Let me know in the comments below, what are the words that you struggle with the most? Also, let me know what mnemonics you have. So do you have a special way to remember them? Is there any kind of funny thing that you do to help yourself remember? I would love to hear it. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Hope you found it useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, see you later.